Hello and welcome back to the Football, and now we're back here with a match preview today. Stockport County take on Leyton Orient away from home at Brisbane Road for the third time in 2025. I want to know if you guys are making the trip down to Brisbane Road this upcoming Saturday, and also how many times you've been there this year. Of course, 3 days in a row. You guys have got a video from me now, lucky or unlucky depending on how you look at it. But of course, we have talked about the preview. We've also got a little bit of, I suppose, transfer news to talk about. We also had the bit of news about Brad Hills yesterday, and apparently how he may well be on his way to Stockport County for around 2 million. They said he's having his medical today, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's done his medical this morning. You know, done all the sort of media stuff, you know, holding the shirt up, having the pictures taken, with it all being ready to be announced. Who knows, maybe tomorrow, tomorrow evening around sort of 6-7 o'clock. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. Would he be registered in time to be involved in this game on the Saturday? Who knows? Certainly want to keep an eye out on that for sure. And I'm pretty sure one of his first games in a Stockport County shirt would have been maybe Leyton Orient away from home, because I think we played on the 1st of Feb. So I could be wrong on that one though, so don't hold me to it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure one of his first few games in the county shirt might have been Leyton Orient away from home, and that is exactly who we face this upcoming weekend. As I say, Hills one is certainly one to keep an eye out on, but also the other one as well is Nick Powell, because we do have news that he could be on his way out of Stockport County, which is hardly surprising. We obviously had the comments at the fans forum a few weeks ago, and it was pretty much confirmed then at Stockport County and Nick Powell are looking for a way to part ways this summer. So this is what's been said earlier today then. We've had a few stories come out. The first one from Peter Rourke from the Football Insider. He said Stockport are in advanced talks to cancel the contract of former Manchester United forward Nick Powell to allow him to find a new club. So that's what he said. And then, of course, Sam Burns been on this case as well, saying that with Nick Powell's departure from Stockport County in the offing, I understand that the 31-year-old is likely to join fellow League One side Bradford City. Powell signed in the summer of 2023, but will ultimately leave Edgeley Park a year before the end of his 3-year deal. So it's an interesting one with Nick Powell, isn't it? Of course, doesn't really ever seem to have got going in a county shirt. Had a decent first season and a massively disappointing second season, where I think he made just around, might have only been 7 appearances, I think it was, last season. So massively disappointing for him and for Stockport County and for the fans. And I think he's a player which has split fans during his time at the club. Some fans rate him, some fans don't rate him. I know he sort of gets accused of being lazy and things like that. And some people say, what does he really do? Well, obviously, he hasn't done a lot over the last this season and obviously last season. But I think this first season he was a very decent player. Unfortunately, it's just not worked out. We know he's got injury issues. I know some people have said that he's been a bit of a mercenary by holding out for as much money as he can get out of the club. The way I see it at the end of the day is the club were more than happy to give him that contract at the time. It's not worked out. Now they want to get rid of him. And it might be controversial, but I think he's got every right to basically stay there and try and get what he thinks it's worth, the payout. So it's one of them, isn't it? It depends on, has there been a falling out, or is it just a mutual coming together where they go, yeah, you know what, it's not working for us here. He obviously didn't take part in the Pinatar pre-season either. Whether or not that was because he didn't want to risk getting an injury, knowing that he was moving on at some point in the near future, who knows. But I think it's just one of those where I wouldn't hate on the player by any means, but I think it's probably best that both the player and the club part ways, and that looks exactly what's going to have sort of happen over the next few days. And yet again, it's Bradford City in for one of our former players, or one of our current players, I suppose, soon to be former player. That tells me a lot, because people say he's lazy. I've even heard some people saying he's a bad trainer. Well, how did they know that? Unless they're at training. But he can't be any of those things, because if Bradford City are going to sign him, and look, it's not confirmed, but it's rumoured, then there's several ex-Stockport County players in that dressing room at Bradford. Do you not think Bradford's transfer department would have been asking those players about what Nick Powell's like as a character around the place before being interested in signing him? And if they're looking at signing, they'd probably give him the thumbs up to it, haven't they? So he probably is a decent player in and around the club. It's just he's an injury prone player, and Bradford obviously think it's worth a punt if they're going to take him. Good luck to him, but it's disappointing that it's not worked out, and surprising, to be honest, to me, that he's going to end up, or it looks like he's going to end up signing for a fellow League One side, because I thought he would probably be somewhere possibly in League Two. But that's where we're at. We've got Brad Hills, potentially one to keep an eye on. in terms of players coming in, and Nick Powell potentially wants to keep an eye out on in terms of departing the football club. But let's get it back into the preview then, of course, where we face Leyton Orient this weekend. Stockport County, of course, have started the season in fine form. Whilst not necessarily playing at our absolute best, we do have 3 wins from 3 so far this season, with 2 of those coming in, of course, our opening 2 league games. This weekend, they face Leyton Orient for the 3rd time in 2025, of course, with 2 of those 3 matches being held at Brisbane Road, of course, the other one at Edgeley Park. The Hatters, of course, took 3 points in the previous regular League One match as Cal Wootton scored the only goal of the game back in February. Of course, 3 goals for him. 3 goals from his first 3 games so far this season for Cal Wootton, in absolute fire at the moment. Controversial circumstances, though, meant that it finished a 2-2 draw back in the first leg at the playoff meeting back in May, and we don't need to say what those controversial circumstances were. I think we all know what I'm talking about there. Charlie Kelman. The tie would obviously be level going into the second leg. Orient and County were also level after 90 minutes at Edgeley Park. In the end, it went to, of course, the dreaded penalty shootout, with Orient coming out on top. Unfortunately, Orient would then go on to lose to Charlton at Wembley, so mixed feelings on that one. But then Leyton Orient have had a busy summer transfer window, losing top scorer Charlie Kelman due to his loan ending. He was responsible for 21 of those 72 league goals last season. Now, of course, the man to send them to Wembley, Ethan Galbraith, who had an impressive season for Orient, did move on to Championship side Swansea City for around 1.5 million. They've also added to the squad, though, this summer, players like Demi Mitchell coming in from Exeter on a free transfer, Aaron Connolly from Millwall, Josh Koroma from Huddersfield. They've also picked up a few loans as well. Jack Morehouse, who was linked to a move to Stockport County this summer, he has joined on loan from Manchester United. A player which has been linked with a move to Stockport County on loan in the past, a few seasons ago, if anyone remembers, Joe White, he's moved on loan to Leyton Orient from Newcastle. They've also picked up Teo Adaramola as well, of course, who spent the first half of last season on loan at Stockport County before spending the second half of last season, I think it was, at Bradford City. But it's been a mixed start for Leyton Orient so far this season. 1 win and 1 defeat in the league. They've also been knocked out of the Carabao Cup this week by our opponents from last weekend, Wycombe Wanderers. Josh Koroma is the only player, though, to score so far this season for Leyton Orient after 3 matches played. But a lot of changes have taken place over the summer, as I've sort of alluded to there. A lot of changes, big players leaving the club, some big players potentially coming in as well. So a lot of changes. And of course, they did finish 6th last season, but they lost all 4 of their opening League One games last season. In fact, they only had 3 wins from their first 12 league matches last season, so they're probably going to have a better start to this season than they did last season, you'd think. So the fact it's been a little bit of a mixed start, I don't think any Orient fans would necessarily be concerned by that, because if you look at their start last season and where they finished in the end, it's not all doom and gloom. What I would say, though, is, do they have that striker like a Charlie Kelman that can score 20 plus goals this season? I'm not entirely sure, so if there's any Orient fans watching, let me know how you think Leyton Orient are going to do this season in terms of firepower up front. Do they have that guy that they can rely on to score 20 odd goals? Because that's massive for you if you want to get into the playoffs and, of course, the automatics, which I'm sure Leyton Orient will still have big ambitions to try and do. Of course, Orient and County have 2 wins in the last 4 meetings, with the other end in a draw. The O's are winless, though, in each of their last 3 matches at home to Stockport County, which I thought was massively interesting. Let's have a quick look at the League One table after 2 matches played going into match day 3. Of course, Huddersfield Town, top of the table. They beat Leyton Orient on opening day, 6 points on the board for them, as has Barnsley, Stockport County, Luton Town, Stevenage and Doncaster Rovers, who of course beat Middlesbrough quite convincingly 4-0 in the Carabao Cup this week. Of course, if you look at the bottom half of the table as well, Bolton Wanderers just at the top of that. You can see Wycombe Wanderers down in 20th. It's definitely going to be a tougher season, I think, this season for them than it was last season. And then you see Blackpool in the relegation spots as well, -4 goals difference. Not going too well for Fraser Horsfall's new club by all accounts. And of course, Plymouth Argyle down in 23rd, showing that it's not easy in League One, especially for teams that have come down from the Championship. Okay, so of course we're back in League One action this upcoming weekend. Of course, we had a very entertaining game against Crewe in the Cup on Tuesday night. A mixed team, although I think I mentioned it a few times now. slightly stronger than I expected us to go with. We did start with Cal Wootton up top alongside Nathan Lowe, who both managed to grab a goal on the night. Like I say, a very good performance from Stockport County, probably the best performance from County so far this season from the opening 3 matches, and certainly compared to the opening 2 league matches, I don't think County have looked anywhere near the best. I don't think anyone can argue with that. However, we have got 6 points on the board. We've somehow managed to win both those games, and to be honest, as much as Bolton had some really good opportunities in the first half on opening day, they didn't take those chances. We were clinical, and when you're clinical, you deserve to win games of football. It's when you're not clinical, you don't take your chances and you're wasteful. That's when you can't turn around and say we should have won the game. And then, of course, against Wycombe, we started relatively well. I thought Joseph Holloway looked good on his debut, but we went the 2 goals up, but then I think the subs slightly affected it. I think when Holloway went off, I think we started to struggle, and it was a really, really difficult last sort of 10-15 minutes to watch, and especially the injury time as well. It was nerve-wracking. So we really held on in that. But I like I say, really comfortable performance on Tuesday. Has that affected the way I look at this game? Well, not really, because we're playing, on Tuesday we played, albeit top of League 2, but a division below. This is a different challenge. This is a more difficult game, because this is a game against a team we struggled against last season. They beat us very convincingly at home back in last September, 4-1 victory over us. Just a narrow 1-0 win against them in February, and as I say, we drew the first leg game at Brisbane Road, and it went down to penalties in the second leg. So not much to split us really in all those 4 games last season. And it's a much tougher opposition than, of course, who we played on Tuesday. So I do think it'll be a tougher game. I think it'll be more similar to the kind of game that we had last Saturday. Although it is a game I do expect us to come away with a result. That's just because Orient have had a bit of a mixed start. A lot of changes as well, it looks like, over the summer. And County do look a lot more like, whilst we haven't played our absolute best, we certainly haven't made as many changes as the likes of Wycombe and Leyton Orient. So in terms of going into the team news, I think we're going to stick relatively the same, to be fair. I think it will be a 3-4-2-1 sort of formation. And this is the team that I would expect to see start the game. So, of course, it's Curry Adai back in goal again after Hinchliffe took the gloves for the cup game. His 400th club appearance. I do expect Adai to be back between the sticks. I think it'll be a back 3 of Alowu, Connolly and Ethan Pye. I thought Alowu did really well on his debut on Saturday, and I was surprised he didn't get a few minutes, to be fair, on Tuesday, but surely that's maybe just a case of resting for this game, so I definitely think he's going to start this game. Then I think, of course, we'll go with sort of Dodgson and O'Keefe as the sort of wing-backs. Dodgson's looked really good since he's come in, to be fair. O'Keefe's done alright as well, not looked quite as comfortable as Dodgson has, but he's still done relatively well himself. Then, of course, I think we'll go with Norwood and Moxon. That is, of course, Norwood with the captain's armband once again. Then I think we'll see Callum Camps play slightly further ahead alongside Jack Diamond, who's had a really, really good game last Saturday, of course, a goal and an assist for him. And then I think we'll see Cal Wootton lead the line, as I say, 3 goals in his first 3 matches of the season. He's looking in fine form, and like I say, I've been critical of him of late, or not of late, actually, I've been critical of him in the past. I think of late I've been very, very sort of in favour of him, giving him a lot of credit, because I think he's deserved it. I actually think he's come back this season. It's not just the goals he's scoring. He actually looks better on the eye test when I'm watching him play. It looks like he's come back a lot fresher for the new season. It just seems to be, everything seems to be going right for him at the moment. And like I say, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he got on the score sheet for a 4th game in a row. And like I say, he did score the only goal of the game the last time he played them in a regular League One game. So that's obviously the team I think we'll go with. I'd love to get your opinion on who you think will start the game. Like I said, I don't see many changes from the game against Wycombe last Saturday. And like I say, it is a tougher game. It is a team against, a match against a team that was in the playoffs last season. But it's still another game, a little bit like Wycombe. I expect us to get a result because of how many changes they've got going on. And like I say, County are in good form, whilst we're not playing at our absolute best. I'd like to see us pick it up a little bit in terms of performance this weekend, but to be fair, if we don't, as long as we come away from this game on Saturday with 3 points, I think that's the most important thing. Performance would be nice, but I think we've got a couple more favourable fixtures coming up afterwards where we can focus a bit more on an improved performance. As long as we get the win, that's what matters, and I'm confident we can do that. I'm going to go with another County 2-1 win. I know it's a bit boring to say that, but I can't see them not scoring especially if they create as many chances as we have actually allowed other teams to do so far this season. I think they will take one of those chances, but I think County should just be able to push through and hopefully score more than them and get 3 points on the board. And it'd be nice to get a clean sheet as well, but I think if we allow the opposition to create as many chances as we have done so far this season, surely they're going to take one of those chances. But like I say, as long as County get more goals than them, we get 3 points on the board, and we go into the game against Tuesday with 3 wins from the opening 3 League One games. That's the most important thing for me. So I am confident. Like I say, a 2-1 County win. I want to get your score prediction on this one, of course. I also want to get your thoughts on who you think will start the game. Do you think we could even see Brad Hills in that matchday squad? Do you think he could be announced before the game and then possibly on the bench? I'd love to get your thoughts on that one. And also, finally, as well, I do want to get your thoughts on Nick Powell and how you think it's gone for him in a Stockport County shirt. And are you sad the way it's gone? And are you sad to see him go? Or do you think it's the right time for him to go? I want to get all your thoughts, of course, on that one. But more importantly, I want to get your score predictions as well. So don't forget to get all your thoughts in the comment section below. Of course, like the video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, thanks for watching.